sign the agreement as a party to. So any day you have AFCFTA events, Oyo State will be at the table with other heads of government from other African countries. Why did we do that? We didn't want to wait for federal. We want to broaden our own productive base, and we want to be able to, under that protocol, expand our own economy and sell to other African countries.
Yes, thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to take you back to the Circular Road project. I know that your government has invested heavily in road infrastructure. Some areas that were hitherto unlinkable, you've linked them.
Hello.
The Seyi, Bomosho Road, the Ibadan Seyi Road, and that hub is the core agro business, the food basket for the state. Now, the Circular Road project, has been generating some
issues, yeah?
Yes, with especially about the 500-meter, you understand. What is the philosophy behind it? That is number one. And then those who are claiming that, they have properties there, so how far? What is the state doing, to ensure that those who have genuine claims will be adequately compensated?
Okay. The Circular Road, the concept is, look, you need rapid transfer around Ibadan. You should have a road that can encircle the city, because it's a growing city. I came in on a British Airways flight, and then at the end, when we landed in Lagos, they gave us some data about the flight. I said, well, this flight flew close by Barcelona, 1-point-something million people. It flew past Kano, 500 and something thousand people. It flew past Ibadan to get to Lagos, 3.5 million people. So I know that we're even slightly more. But if you go around Ibadan today, there's no gridlock, the type you experience in Lagos. And we don't want that to happen, because you learn from the experience of others. The Circular Road corridor, the acquisition was done well before I even became a governor. It was gazetted, and in the Nigerian Tribune of November 19, 2018. And that Circular Road project, the idea was mooted by, well, maybe initially by Baba Lamadeshina, but it was brought out, as a project, and the first real attempt to execute it was made by the current Olubadan of Ibadan land, Baba Rashidi Ladoja. And that's why we named the entire 110-kilometer corridor as Rashidi Ladoja Circular Road.
Hello?
Because he set aside the first seed money. Of course, it wasn't done from records available to us. When Governor Akala came in, the priorities changed, so he would rather do, use that money for other roads. So it's not about Seyi Makinde or this administration, grabbing people's land. But when we came in, there has been encroachment on the corridor. I said, so what do? We decided that, look, let's go on with the project. Where we can get the 500 meters on both sides, we'll take it. Where we cannot because of development, we will look at it. But for a highway like that, you have a minimum standard, you know, that you have to maintain to the highway. And this will be the first proper motorway in Nigeria. Simply because it is in the mode of maybe M25 in London, you know, London Orbiter. Or for people that are used to America, Houston, the Beltway, Beltway 8. I mean, it goes around Houston. We know that government exists to look after the people. So most of these people, we ask them for their documents. We still did not say, okay, no documents, so you must go outside and be homeless. We said, okay, look, even with no document, if you can prove, you know, that you're the one living, you know, in those houses, we will compensate you so that you can go elsewhere, settle in, while we develop that corridor. And the corridor is not just, oh, people want to build estates. No, it's for industrial and commercial concerns as well. Because if you have to move from a consumptive economy to a productive one, you must have industrial corridors. Our children will have to walk somehow. They have to walk somewhere. So, and for me, you know, it is easier to take the bullet for the incoming, the next administration, because your state people have gotten so used to me. They can vouch for me. They know what I stand for. So if I come in and say, look, this is what we're doing, they believe me. We've been able to reduce to the barest minimum the trust deficit between government and the people, at least here in your state. After I went to address the people in that corridor, then they were telling me that, look, can you sign for us that, look, successive administration will not bother us again. So you trusted me to that extent that you want me to sign for you. I said, well, I will sign for you. But when the time comes also, I will also introduce people that will not bother you, you know, and then you can be rest assured that the principle of government being a continuum, you know, will apply.
Excellency, I noticed some visible infrastructure that you've been doing around. I noticed a good photo from Challenge down there, which is very gratifying to know. But the central thing happens to be the people. How are you ensuring that poverty is tackled in Ibadan, particularly the last 6 years that you've been governor?
Well, the way I look at it is, for me as a person and for this administration, when people tell us, oh, we've been around, no potholes, you know, I've driven on a state road almost 160 kilometers from Ibadan to Ogbomoso, there's no pothole, you know, and things. I say, yes, but I won't want to be remembered, you know, for, you know, building roads, you know, infrastructure and all that. No. We will love to be remembered for the institutions that we're creating that will ensure that there's good governance and sustainable development and growth long after we've left this place. That ring road that you mentioned just now, if I ask a lot of people who constructed the ring road, I went, you know, to search for the history of that road. And I found out that when it was constructed, it was the most expensive road per kilometer that was ever constructed in Nigeria at the time. And if you ask people who constructed that road now, I can tell you they won't know. So that is what you get. The only way they will know who maybe started a road will be if the road is not finished. If the project becomes abandoned, then they will tell you, this road was started by XYZ. Then that's it. Because I was walking within the oil patch at Kwale. So we went to Ogume. And then we saw a bridge. It wasn't, it was abandoned. And then I asked the people in that area, so, you know, what's this? That bridge was started during Ogbemudia's time. Successive government did not complete it. Then you can get credits for that. But if you start a project, you finish it, and people start using it, within a very short time, they will have forgotten. So for us in Oyo State, we believe that we're not going to give people handouts. We will create, and we've been creating that conducive environment for people to, you know, come in, have opportunities, and then they'll take themselves out of poverty. I was working inside a Shell Bonny terminal when they were filling the entire Finima for Nigeria LNG project. And then all the fishermen and those people, they built, decent houses for them. It didn't take 5 years before the whole place was turned into a shanty town. So the approach, and again I argue this with the World Bank, their preference is, look, have conditional cash transfer, give people money, you know, and I said no. In Oyo State, what we did was I'd rather subsidize productive efforts of people. So we said, when we hit this economic headwind, a lot of state governments, they were bringing in palliatives. So, okay, yeah, we'll have palliatives, you know, give food to people. Yeah. What we did here was we created what we call the SAFER program. It's sustainable action for economic recovery. So our SAFER program, part of it, you have the transportation sector. But we said, look, our Pacesetter transport company, they move close to 20,000 people every day. And we said, okay, for those 20,000 people, the vulnerable ones in there, students, elderly, physically challenged, they pay discounted price, half the price. So we subsidize them with 100 million every month, but that 100 million is subsidizing production. You're not going to just get on the bus for a ride because it's half price. You get on the bus for a ride because you're going somewhere that is important to you, that are likely going to yield something productive, you know, for you. So that's our approach here.
Thank you, Your Excellency. So I must commend you. Like you said the infrastructure. And people have described your administration as we've inclusivity and people-oriented. One thing I know about leadership is no matter what you do, people will have an issue. As we've seen in the case of the circular road as well, we had to compromise a bit. My question is, how do you balance compromise and conviction? How do you determine what to go ahead with, no matter what people think, no matter what people say, and what to compromise?
Okay. I believe that, government should look after the people. And I also always tell my people that we're not the most brilliant around. We're not infallible. It's only God that cannot make mistakes. So we may take decisions that, maybe in the long run may be wrong. I told Oyo State people when I was asking for their votes that I may not be right all the time, but I will be honest all the time to the people. So if we did anything that in the end we have to adjust because new facts became available to us, we're not that proud to say, look, we won't do that. So I think that's really the way we've operated. And it has connected us more to the people because they know. I go around them, I stay with them, I listen to them.
Yeah. Okay, Excellency, we're going to talk about politics and power.
Okay.
Before we get to that, just as a follow-up to this, talk about infrastructure.
Yes.
Talk not about the secular, but about the airport. Why is there, attempt to upgrade the airport in California? I know there used to be, or there was, an existing airport. But Oyo State can take advantage of the airport in the state. It's an international airport. Yeah, and it's so close. But you decided to go ahead and upgrade the one in Ibadan. And then yesterday, after the presentation of the budget, we were told that you had a meeting with the Cabis, Cabis, Alaf, transpire. What was the matter? Just brief.
Okay. The airport in Ibadan. I know you're biased a little bit because you're from Ogun State. That's why. That's why you want us to. But Ibadan Airport has been in existence for at least 40. It was inaugurated 1982, I believe. So for at least 43 years. So your airport at Ogere, just started. So we looked at the economy of Oyo State, and we looked at elsewhere around the world. The best example I can give to you is just look at Dubai and Abu Dhabi. They are just like Lagos to Ibadan. Maybe slightly longer. I think it's about 154 kilometers. Here is 110, 112 kilometers. In fact, it's 135 kilometers from Ojo. And between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, not only two international airports, but you also, they have Emirates in one, they have Etihad in the other, and they come into this place, and you decide, oh, okay, I'm flying Emirates, I'm flying Etihad, but you will land only 150 kilometers apart, and they are both doing well. They're both doing well. So for us here, we know people, I mentioned those sub-pillars that we felt we can use, to expand our economy. When we were given the opportunity to serve the people of Oyo State for the second tenure, we added tourism to it. Yes, I've seen people say, well, you can come to Ikogusi in Ekiti State, or you can go to this and that. How do you get there? I mean, the federal roads are not that great. If you're going from Ibadan here to Ife, Ilesha, I mean, it's a very difficult journey. Okay, my friend Dave Umar said they are starting the concrete road, to come here. But they started from Ilesha end. I don't know. Linking Ibadan zone to Okeogun. 65 kilometers, Moniya to Seyi. We built it. You have, and that was the very first contract that this administration awarded, because Okeogun is the food basket of Oyo State, and Ibadan is the consumption center. So we needed that link. Then we linked Okeogun zone to Oyo zone. Through 37 kilometers from Iseyin to Oyota. We also linked Okeogun to Ogbomoso zone, 78.6 kilometers from Iseyin to Ogbomoso. When we came in, it was a footpath. There was no road at all. So we constructed it brand new, 78.6. I remember when I called my chairman, the chairman of Governors Forum, to come and flag off the road for me. It looked, because we had constructed about maybe 5 or 6 kilometers before he came in to flag it off. He said, Seyi, this is a federal project that you're doing here, because it's a solid road. And currently, we are linking Ibarapa zone to Ibadan through Ido Erua road. So we've done all of that work. We have tourist centers, tourist attraction within Oyo State. We've done the heavy lifting by connecting all the zones in Oyo State. If we have the airport in Ibadan as a gateway, for people, we can really be on our own. We can do things, as suitable to our own state and our own environment. So, and between Imperial Majesty, Baba Ladoja, and Alaafin of Oyo, they were with me, during the signing of the budget. And after the budget signing, I said, Kabiyesi, because he was, Baba Ladoja was a former governor, so he understands the configuration of the government, the governor's office. So I said, come, sir, let me show you where your chief of staff used to be. I'll turn it into a coffee room. Sorry. So I turned it into a coffee room. And so I went to show him. I said, look, let's have coffee in here. And then Alaafin said, look, can I join also? I said, oh, yeah, Baba, join. Let's have coffee. And that was exactly what we did.
Good to hear that meeting Take a short break now. If you're just joining us, we've been having a chat with the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi. We'll take this short break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB Van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies, we bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice. Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB Van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies, we bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Because destinies are involved. I mean, even generations yet unborn can be impacted. I was telling somebody the story of me meeting with the cabinet secretary in Kenya. That is the equivalent of maybe SGF in Nigeria, the number 3 citizen out there. And he said to me that, look, we were in his office and watching the drama in Gaza, you know, between Israeli and Palestinians. And then he said, look, this could have actually been Kenya, because when they were looking for land to create the state of Israel, Kenya was actually considered. And that bill was defeated by 1 vote in parliament. So some of the things we do in governance, we may think, oh, okay, this is just easy. But generations yet unborn. So, for us, we feel, and for me personally, if you know my political trajectory, this is my very first job in the public sector. And I got the job when I was 51 plus. So what happened to me between 0 and 51? And I'll be 58 midnight tomorrow. So what happened to me between 0 and 51? I operated in the private sector. And I operated not only in Nigeria, but, you know, across different continents. So I believe once prayers have been answered, because I believe nobody can get anything without God giving it to that individual. And even leadership, you cannot become a leader by yourself. It is because God has given that position to you, and He will give people the kind of leaders they deserve at any particular time. In my own Bible, God allowed a wicked king to be enthroned because at that particular time, God decided that that is the kind of king the people they deserve. But that is usually not the end of the story. So I will say to you that in Nigeria today, we have to rise above partisanship. You know, this may really go straight into the issue within PDP. I say, okay, everybody has decamped, you know, and I'm saying I'm not moved. Because the people that negotiated Nigeria, they have two major things that was in there, in that negotiation. First, federalism. That's why they called us Federal Republic of Nigeria. Two, multi-party democracy. That is why, upon independence, you have an action group here, you have Northern People's Congress, you have Northern NEPU, you have NEPU, you have NCNC. You understand? At independence, it was multi-party democracy. So now you're moving the country towards, you know, a one-party state. It won't work. I was in Ebonyi a few days, maybe 2 days ago, on Friday and Saturday. And then they brought cola to me and said, look, this cola in Igbo land, if you are receiving, you know, a big visitor, you know, this is how you do it. I said, well, kola nut is grown in the west, eaten in the north, and literally worshipped in the east. So you have different nations, different culture within the nation called Nigeria. And the people that negotiated our independence, they felt, look, to have unity in that diversity, it has to be a federal arrangement. If you move the country towards a one-party state, what happens the day you require a multi-party or bipartisan approach to issues? Who are you going to call? The day you move the country towards a one-party state, you remember what happened with the Arab Spring. Once people don't have leadership, they will find leaders, you know, by all means. So we better get our acts together as political leaders in this country. That will be my own approach to your question.
Because you said something about PDP, I know there was a time you were in the G5. And that G5 actually supported the president. What happened concerning your relationship between the president and your friend in some week? What happened? Because at some point everybody thought it was all rosy, and then now we went haywire.
Okay, I contested the election for the first time in 2007 to go to the Senate here in Oyo State. And, well, I lost. I contested under AMPP. I was in PDP with Babaladoja. You remember his impeachment and all of that, all the shenanigans that happened within that period. So it wasn't possible. The PDP franchise was handed over to Babadi Dibu. And me as a person, as a 39-year-old, trying to, you know, get into politics for the first time. I didn't like that brand of politics. And I said I wasn't going to be involved with that brand of politics. That was why I contested under AMPP. But ab initio, my first outing in politics, I joined PDP. So we lost. We came back 2011 in PDP again. They didn't even allow me to go past the party primaries. So I lost. And then I said, look, I've been dealing with people here. I think since I've lost twice at the senatorial level, let me move up to, let me promote myself to the governorship level. So I contested in 2015 to be the governor of the state. Again, I lost. But my point is, in all of this journey, I never interacted or went to Bodilon. No. I held my own. Whatever I couldn't get, through the people of Oyo State, I don't believe in godfatherism in politics, so I didn't go. I stayed here, but 2019, the people of Oyo State decided. Did they decide because there's influence of anybody from Bodilon or from outside of the state? The answer is no. So, 2023, we felt that, look, after 8 years of President Buhari from the north, the presidency should come to the south. And I need to also say this, I don't believe that will be a permanent arrangement in Nigeria. I believe Nigeria will get to a point where, if you like, two Ibibios people can be president and vice president, in as much as they are qualified, and we have strong institutions that will ensure that they do what is right for the people of Nigeria. So we felt, look, presidency should come to the south, and within my party, Wike was contesting. I supported him. He lost at the primaries, and then Waziri, former vice president, won from the north against, what we were thinking. But I said, look, if our party has selected somebody from the north, then we should sit down and decide, how is this thing going to work? He came to Ibadan. We were at Ogunlesi Hall out there, and we mentioned to him that, look, you're the candidate of the party. You're from the Northeast. Your chair, are you the candidate, the national chairman of the party from North Central? And in that meeting, we were facing the press. I didn't tell him, in the conference of the government house. No, I said, look, this is Governor Tambua. As of that time, he was the chairman of PDP Governors Forum. I said intelligence indicated that you will appoint him as the DG of this campaign. He's from the Northwest. So what are we supposed to use to campaign, convince people? Because politics is a game of numbers. So we couldn't reach any agreement. We met with him in London, and we said, look, for me, the only thing I said to him in London was, allow us to go and remove Yoche Ayu, and then make Arakwaja, the acting chairman, because he was deputy national chairman, South, at that time. Make Arakwaja the chairman. He will be at the table when you're all talking and deciding. So in London, I said, just agree with us there and then to go and remove Ayu. How we do it, don't even bother about it. He said, well, we should give him 1 week. He came back to Nigeria, and then the famous statement that, okay, so if you moved on, what will I do? We have to do something. That is politics. So we couldn't reach that agreement. And it wasn't Wike that guaranteed the president before me, because I never dealt with them. I've never had any political dealings with them up until that point. Someone else did. I said, okay, fine. If this is what we will do, we'll support you. But even as a candidate, I must have mentioned it more than maybe 3-4 times, that our expectation would be a government of national unity, a government of national competence, where you can start the process of resetting this country. But is it what we are seeing right now? Is it a government of national competence? Is it a government of national unity? The answer is no. When the president said, look, nominate somebody who may be appointed as the minister, I said, sir, what position do you want to give to us? Then he said, I'm looking for a developmental economist who can be the minister of budget and economic planning. I said, okay, I will look for somebody that fits that bill. And I sent somebody's name who is a Oyo State indigene, and I sent it to him. The individual wasn't selected. Rather, they selected the current Minister of Power. He wasn't taken to Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning. He was taken to Ministry of Power. A subsequent meeting with the president, he said, Seyi, I think I must have gone to him to seek for approval for the upgrade of Ibadan Airport. He said, I'll sign it for you. I'll give my nod. But, oh, sit down. What's happening politically? I heard you're upset because you were not, your nominee was not given the ministerial slot. I said, sir, in Yoruba land, if you don't want the pregnancy to be aborted, you won't want the baby to die. Because it's easier to abort a pregnancy than, to kill a baby. I said, you will decide at the end of the day, who you want to work with. We can only suggest people. But if you know people that fit, your bill about the kind of individual you want in your cabinet, we are just. Let me say this. If you've selected the Minister of Power because you want him to help you organize APC in Oyo State, he doesn't have the capacity. I told the president. He said, no, Seyi, it's you that I want to help me organize APC in Oyo State. I said, no, sir, I can never help you organize APC in Oyo State because I am of the PDP. So, if we have a government of national unity, a government of national competence, we will have been in a very different environment right now. And let me just mention again this issue of Wike. This.
Your friend.
Huh?
Your friend, Wike.
My friend, Wike. Okay. So this was the exact first contract that Mobile gave to Macon. I was 29. It was $1 million. Within that 1 year, I made $1 million in my pocket. I was 29. 1997. Wike perhaps at that time just left. He just left law school, and then his next job after that was local government chairman. And the trajectory was, I don't beef anybody, but the real issue is that I was in a meeting with the president and Wike. And I'm saying this, in an open chat. The president's chief of staff was also in that meeting, and a few others. And Wike said to the president that, well, sir, I will hold PDP for you, against 2027. I was in shock. So we got up, we got to the veranda. I said, Wike, did we agree to this? I don't like talking about people, and I will not talk about people or talk about events. But I'll talk about the real issue. The real issue is that Wike would like to support the president for 2027. That's fine. It is within his right to do that. But also some of us that want to, ensure that democracy survives in Nigeria. We don't drift into a one-party state, and we want to ensure that PDP survives. It should also allow us to do our own thing. That is just the issue between me and Wike. And I confided in a mutual friend of us after that meeting. And I kept thinking, okay, the president did not ask him, do this for me. He was the one that volunteered that I will do that. So when I was telling our mutual friend, and I said, look, maybe he was talking about an errand that the president never sent him. So let's watch, let's engage him. Let's see if he will back off. But he never did. So after he didn't back off, I said, well, now it's time to confront him. Because I told him from that day that I will never be a part of this. And that is why I will not be supporting the president for 2027. Wike can support him, he's within his right, but also it is within my own right to decide within the political space who I will support or what I will do in 2027.
Yeah, Your Excellency, now we understand the real reason why there is a conflict in the PDP. Now the party is divided along two lines. The one being led by Saminu Turaki, is claiming that it is the rightful one, and I remember that INEC called the two parties to a meeting. Now, with the way PDP is currently, does the party stand any chance? Number one, in the forthcoming season elections, and in 2027, does the party stand a chance? Because Nigeria needs a credible opposition now to withstand the, what is going on. Because you yourself mentioned it, that, the country is fast moving towards a one-party state. Does PDP have any chance?
Well, the president has the power to call his minister to order. I said, look, allow democracy to survive in Nigeria. And by the way PDP is today, there is no faction in PDP. We held a convention here in Ibadan. We gave adequate notice to INEC, which is all that we're required to do under the law. So it may take INEC some time if they choose, to behave like the ostrich, bury their head and the whole of their bodies outside. And the current INEC chairman, the job is even very difficult to start with. Now to add all of these things that they're not supposed to add. They basically, this meeting that you said they called the two factions together, they played our people. They invited them and said, we want to engage with the leadership of PDP. And then they got there and found out that they called the Anyanwu and Co. I said, that's even silly to start with. I mean, pardon my language. Sometimes when I get upset, I can speak no. So let me finish with Shina. So why did they not call Damagun? Maybe it was Anyanwu that was the secretary when Damagun was there. Yes. And the notice that went to INEC was a notice signed by both Damagun and Anyanwu. I wanted to basically, ask that they expel Anyanwu at a neck. But people, leaders came and said, look, let us not do that. Let's get the two of them together, and all of that. So the Supreme Court already said whoever is your secretary is the internal affair of the party. There's a Supreme Court judgment on SDP how many days ago saying exactly the same thing. So we had a proper convention here, and Wike and the rest of those people were expelled, and they've been expelled. Even if the court says, look, which I don't think is possible, because up to the Supreme Court already said, look, internal affairs of the party is internal affairs of the party. So they can only delay things. But there may be unintended consequences for, trying to kill PDP. There's a danger that if you do that, you may, unknowingly, kill democracy in this country, God forbid. So that is my own position.
Yeah, Mr. Governor, it's interesting what you just revealed now. A lot of people were not privy to that information in terms of your position and what former Governor Wike, now Honorable Minister of FCT, had said in your presence to the President. Now, we're in Ibadan, and the Yoruba side of me comes to play, that there's this saying, if you translate into English, how do you put it? When your neighbor begins to eat cockroach during the day,
yes,
if you don't want him, you will not get any sleep.
Yes.
That's exactly what has happened to your political party that we've got its flag right behind you, PDP. You were there, one of the 5 wearing Ashebi,
yes,
with Wike and Autumn and the others.
yes,
And you all celebrated the fact that this action you're taking will bring in a candidate of another political party. And in doing that, that has roller coastered into a situation where PDP was not just decimated. We're seeing governors moving out in droves to go to the party that you supported, their candidate to become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
yes.
Now that the chicken have come home to roost, and the entire party, you can say, is still one. There are no factions. Mm-hmm. Minister Wike is saying, I have a faction. You're saying,
I'm giving you the reason why he's doing what he's doing.
Yes, but you're saying there's no other faction. So some young people, right? New Central, we have a lot of young people in our organization. More than 60% of our members of staff are below 35. They're youths. And I also spend time with young people online. The question they've been asking for the last couple of years is, isn't the governor of Oyo State and those who used to be part of the G5, are they not embarrassed that they have created this PDP that they now see that is sinking? How do you respond to them? What do you say to these young people? Because they just feel so sad that the only opposition is in this situation.
Okay. good governance, sustainable development. It's all about a journey, you know, of the people. And I said it earlier. I can make mistakes. I'm human. I supported the current president, even though in another party at that time, because I thought, even though I never dealt directly with them, I thought we'll do what is right for the country, research the country. Like I said, bring people from, you know, all over that can help the country. But unfortunately, that is not what we're seeing. So I regret that action. Yes, I do. I mean, if people say, look, why you, you know, what is it that you've done? Well, I'm not above mistake. Even up until this moment, I say to people, because people have been calling me, say, look, Seyi, you can take the approach of, you know, sit down, look, just keep yourself and then let this wave go away. And, you know, they even said to the extent that, look, by the time you will be done with your position as governor of Oyo State, you'll be 59. Even if you wait for 8 years, you'll be 67. You can contest if you want to contest. And I said, look, what are we afraid of? Is it death? If you're afraid of death, will that stop you from dying? What can it do to you? If you're afraid of death, what it can do to you is it won't allow you to live your life freely. So we're not going to do that. I'm not afraid to say my mind. I'm not afraid to apologize to people if I wrong them, because it's only God that is all-knowing, that knows the end, you know, from the beginning. I am not, maybe people may think because I was born on Christmas Day, you know, they may think, you know, maybe I know too much. No.
So, Mr. Governor, having admitted that you regret your actions then,
yes,
you seem to be trying to correct what happened then. And so the elephant in the room, let's speak to the real issue. Are you then planning to take the bull by the horn, run for president in 2027?
Well, thank you, Kennedy. Well, I've had that also, you know, people saying, oh, is Seyi trying to position himself for 2027 presidency? Let me make this very clear. To serve this country at the highest level, I am qualified. I'm even overqualified. I've run Oyo State. Even the current president, what brought him to the table? He was governor of Lagos State. Oh. 2 terms. By the end of May 2027, by God's grace, God sparing my life, I will have been to the end of the tenure as a 2-term governor of Oyo State. So what are we talking? Professionally, I ran a company from a very young age, at 29. Some of my colleagues were just, some are still finishing their youth service at that point. I ran the company, and people can go out there and check. I did not go to NMPC, you know, or the likes. No, I was working for multinational oil companies. I worked for Shell, ExxonMobil, Chevron. To the extent that when I go on holiday to my house in Houston, ExxonMobil came to me and said, look, we want to work in your neighborhood. We have work to do in Chad and Cameroon, on the Chad-Cameroon pipeline project. I personally, I was in Kribi, where they positioned the FSO. I sent engineers to Chad. I sent engineers to Cameroon. You can't go there because you're Nigerian. No, you can only go there because professionally they have trust in you. I worked on the West African gas pipeline. ABB came to us and said, look, from Lagos, you know, to Tema in Ghana. I was in Tema myself because when I started, during the day, I'm working as a field engineer. At night, I'm working as the general manager. I couldn't even tell people on my card then, I couldn't tell them, look, I own the company, because they look at me and say, you own which company? You know? So I sent engineers to Equatorial Guinea. We worked on the Equatorial Guinea LNG. So all of those things were because professionally we did what was right. I could have joined politics in 1998 because I made enough money to do that. But I won't tell you I'm a foundation member of PDP. No. I joined PDP in 2002. And why did I join? I joined solely because of Babaladoja. I joined to support him towards the 2003 elections. I already moved my family to the US there in year 2000. Well, okay. I had a wife and a daughter at that time. We had the second one, December of 2000. And I moved my office from Port Harcourt to Lagos. So most weekends, no family, nothing. So I come to Ibadan to meet my parents. One thing led to the other. From that place, I commissioned the classroom block that I gave to my alma mater. They brought Governor Lamadeshina, you know, to do the commissioning at that time. And I gave him a proposal that, look, for the farm settlements here, this is a power solution. And he said, okay, look, my assistant will call you. I waited. Nobody called me. So going towards 2003, I thought, look, if you look for a professional, you know, to be elected as the governor of Oyo State, maybe things may be one shade better.
Are you running for president?
Okay, well, let me be very clear. At this point, you need to have a party. You need to have a competitive political environment. At Ebonyi, I said to the Igbo nation out there that in 1999, we're going to have a almost very similar situation that we're in today. All the generals, all the elites, you know, they were all gravitating towards PDP. Until Ogbonnaya Onu gave up his presidential ticket in APP to have APP and AD join together, and they produce Baba Falaye and Shinkafi. And the environment became instantly competitive. So I'm not fixated on running or not running.
But if the PDP is right and well,
Right now, if I correctly calibrate the environment, we have to go beyond its PDP. We have to channel our energy towards having a competitive political environment.
Okay.
And that means we need to talk across board. We need to start talking about survival of democracy in Nigeria, individual ambition it's tertiary, not even secondary. It's, we should keep talking, even with people within APC that are not happy in there. We will talk to them also. We should all keep talking on, because we run the risk of the Arab Spring. You have people without leadership. A shoemaker will be made a leader for them, and they will show us. In fact, people should write it down. What Nigerian people will show politicians and elites in 2027, we cannot imagine it right now. And when they say governors have defected and all of that, what of hunger? Where is hunger? And anger in the land, has it defected? So,
okay, Governor.
Sorry,
before
Dr.
let me tell, take a short break.
Let me tell Coyote. You see, if we don't do what is right for democracy to survive in Nigeria, it will be, very difficult in the foreseeable future. So that's really, so the issue of, are you running, are you not running and things like that, that is it's still far off. At this stage, we must ensure a competitive political environment.
Okay, Governor, we're going to take a break shortly. And when we return, we'll be discussing security, both nationally and in the West. But before we take that break, let me ask you. Now, with all this that you have told us about the relationship with the center, at a time when 28 state governors have already moved into the APC, some of the other ones that are not yet in the APC, we don't know what will happen tomorrow.
They're doing press of that.
And the excuse they give is that they cannot afford to isolate their state from the center, and that they are doing it for the benefit of their people. But you are saying this is where I stand. Now, have you seen any difficulties in terms of what comes to your state because of your political stance? And secondly, economic issue. I think it was James Asukwo who was asking the question about what are you doing about poverty. Right. Now, many Nigerians blame the Tinubu administration for the economic issue. Are you one of them? Do you think that the APC Tinubu administration misdiagnosed the ailment?
Well, Dr. Abbas, let me just first of all make one clarification. When you see governors, they say they are defecting. A classical case is the last election. Governor of Delta State, he was the vice presidential candidate of PDP, a sitting governor of Delta State. Particle lost in his state. So, you're talking about elites and all of those things, governors. How about the people? What are they doing? What are they saying? What are the people? What are they telling us? So, I'm not bothered. I will still continue to say that. Now, let's deal with the issue that you've raised. What's my relationship with the center, and do I feel any impact? Well, I believe the center right now, they really think it's a game. So we played the game, and then we got into power. The game on. But I came in to Oyo State from day one as opposition. When I became governor here, President Buhari was running his second term. So I've learned to rise above partisanship, to present, our case. We went to President Buhari. Said, look, we want state police. And he said, well, I can't support state police because you state governors, you're not even able to pay salaries of your workers. Federal government is giving bailouts and, all of that. Why should I support you, army people that, you give them guns and you won't be able to pay them? And we said, well, okay, sir. I was just maybe 4 months or so as a governor at this particular time. But from day one, when I came into office, we've always paid salaries on the 25th of every month. This is the 7th year running, and every year we pay 13th month salary. So we've gotten that template right in Oyo State. In the beginning, they said, okay, let's see them. We were there before. He won't be able to sustain it for more than a year. But we've sustained it for going to 7 years now. So if you now take our action after, the president's position, we said, okay, we can't have state police, but we can have Amotekun. So we came together as governors in the Southwest, and we launched Amotekun, which was midway between, the state police that we're asking for and providing security for our people. So sometimes you won't get what you want. Like the airport in Ibadan, I gave to the president, please, let us upgrade this. These are the things that we want to do. And he said, approved at no cost to the federal government. And I said, thank you, sir. At least the approval means something to us. We can go out there and do the work. And we were grateful and thankful to him. But we went around looking for money, to fix the airport because it is important to Oyo State economy. Same for federal roads. So, look, give us approval, even if you're not paying. Governor Fashola was the minister for works at that time. I went to him. It took me 2 years to get approval to fix Oyo to Seyi. We fixed it because it was passing through our agricultural belt. People of Oyo State, they don't care. If the road is local government, is state government, is federal government, just even if it's community road, fix the road, let them go about their economic activities. So I'm not bothered about, will I cry that, because I'm in the opposition, I will engage with them on the basis of, look, do what is right for our people. At least you have voters in this state and people that are APC as well. Even if you're not doing it for Seyi Makinde or this administration, do it because of your own people as well. That is the way we've engaged with the federal government. I went to the president and I wrote to him and said, look, Oyo State, let's solve this illegal mining thing. We gave a proposal. I have it on record. The president signed and said, look, go to the Minister of Mines and let's look at the model. If we solve it in Oyo State, you can replicate it elsewhere in Nigeria. After all, during COVID, I argued at the National Economic Council when they came in, Professor Oshibajo, the VP then, and said, look, mandatorily, we must go and lock down everywhere. And I said, sir, I cannot lock down in Oyo State because I know people here that if they don't go to work today, they won't eat tonight or eat tomorrow. So where am I going to get what to feed them with? So we went back and forth, and then we agreed that, well, let it be voluntary. If you think your state has to be locked down, lock them down. And we did not lock down in Oyo State. So we gave the proposal. We went there, held meetings upon meetings with my security team, with the Minister of Mines. At the end of the day, he came out with a mines marshal, the mines marshal. I asked Please give me the law setting up this mind marshal. Till tomorrow, I haven't seen any law anywhere setting it up. Okay, how many are they, even if that is the route to go? They employed 1,000 of them for the entire country. Maybe now there are 2,000 or 3,000. I believe that, yes, we've identified what to be done. They can either work with us to do it, or they can go their own route. Usually the nature of problems is such that if you have a problem and you're able to solve it, it will go away. You move on to something else. But if you're not able to solve it, it will come back. You can either have another go at it, or it may even kill you. So I believe some of the problems that are not solved, they will come back to us. If we can't solve it now, there are still people coming behind us. Because if you go to the executive chamber here in Oyo State, you see pictures of all the people that have been head of government here, from ranking the last Governor General of Western Region, all the way to my immediate predecessor. So this is a place with a lot of history behind it. Some of them, they came in, okay, AG Baba Olowo, they came in with AG, Action Group. Then you've seen UPN, you've seen MPN, you've seen SDP, you've seen PDP, you've seen AD, you've seen AC, ACN, APC, and then PDP. So government will come and go, but our state and our country will remain. And however we lay our bed, that is how we will lie on it. So if we say we won't solve this problem now, the problem will not go away magically. And then I think the bottom line is we can do more, we can do better for the people of Nigeria. And when I was campaigning here in Oyo State, I challenge anybody, if you see a video or anything where I said to the people of Oyo State that, oh, this government, they haven't done this, you know, because of that, don't vote for them. No. We came out with a roadmap for accelerated development of Oyo State, 2019 to 2023. And we listed those things that we were going to do. And we said, look, this is what we want to do. Vote for us on the basis of this. And then if at the end of the day, we're not able to achieve that, it's in black and white, then don't give us another opportunity to serve you.
Well, His Excellency already talked about security. I'm a Tekno State Police. You just take it from there.
Do we take a break now?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, I think naturally security has been one of the biggest stories in the country. And I wonder what your take is on how the government is approaching this with the whole withdrawing police from VIPs. I imagine you've been affected as well. Maybe you had some of them cut from your entourage. Also the designation, the recent designations, the way the government is handling banditry, the kidnappings, and all of that. I wonder if you are sort of removed from it because Oyo State isn't feeling the brunt as much, or it's something that worries you and you think this government can do better.
Well, we have been extremely lucky here. We've had, you know, service commanders that they see their posting here, you know, like they've been posted to their actual state of origin. So they step up to the plate. We've had the GOC, the garrison commander. They've all been very supportive. I mean, maybe today or tomorrow, they will have finished the clearance operation within the Old Oyo National Park, you know. And of course, Amatekun, I mean, is one institution that we created that Oyo State cannot do without right now. If you go around and say and ask people, should we scrap Amatekun? You know, they'll say no. They have been, you know, cooperating and working with the federal agencies, you know, and that has kept Oyo State safe and secure, you know. I'll use this opportunity to once again say thank you to our service commanders and everyone that has, you know, supported the state. Because quite frankly, you want to build schools, you want to engage in economic activities, you can only do that if your environment is safe and secure. However, the approach of the federal government, I think they should have a rethink. And I'm not saying this because I'm in the opposition, you know, or I saw an AI-generated picture of only me holding the PDP Governors Forum meeting in the southern part of the country. So I'm not saying this because of that. I'm saying this because I really want them to genuinely look into their strategy. You say, go ahead and employ 30,000 policemen. Go ahead and employ this much army and all of that. Is that our problem? What do we have on ground in terms of, you know, communication, in terms of technology, in terms of looking after the welfare of these new people? When we were agitating for state police, they came up and said, well, it's the same as a community policing. They employ these supernumeraries and all of that. Since they've been employed, they've not been paid. They can challenge me, at least the ones in Oyo State. I know, if not in other states. So, it has to be that synergy between, you know, the federal government, the state, and the local government. And nobody should be proud, you know, among those tiers of government. We should all come together. It's like in Oyo State here, we do have expanded Security Council meeting where our traditional rulers, local government chairmen, and ourselves at the state, we all sit together with the service commanders. And we encourage them also to have security meetings at the local government level, at least on a monthly basis. So those are the initiatives that has to be, you know, brought to the table. Federal government alone cannot do it. And they're also far removed. Some of these things, they can be solved also by kinetic means alone. You engage the traditional rulers, you engage the community leaders, you get them to give you actionable intelligence. And Oyo State just acquired 2 aircraft, which I'm hoping we can deploy within the first quarter of next year. I actually pushed that they should be available before Oyo State at 50 celebrations, 3rd of February next year. But it will be here, but they may not take to the sky just about that time, but they will within the first quarter of next year. And I can invite all of you back. We will sit inside Amatekun control room and ask the aircraft to fly to anywhere in Oyo State. Ogbomoso, Okeogun, anywhere. And with the data coming in, we'll ask them to zoom into the plate number of a vehicle in that real time.
Okay, Governor.
We will be able to do that.
Okay, on that note, Mr. Governor, we'll take another short break. Then after that break, we'll return and then we'll be closing the program in the next sequence. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies, we bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Infrastructure. Based on what we saw over the last 24 hours and the statistics that we looked at, you've invested in education, and that's wonderful. But in the area of quality of education, what are you planning to do in the next couple of years before you hand over to whoever becomes the next governor? And adding to that is the issue of healthcare, because these are two of the most important things to any citizen of your state. Healthcare and education. In the area of healthcare, I know you've won awards as well. Primary healthcare, you've changed the infrastructure. I've looked at the statistics. It looks good on paper. But understaffing of some of those primary healthcare and making sure that the things that they need, little things that makes the common man able to say, I have a primary healthcare next door that I will get all that I want, that make sure that the basic healthcare is taken care of. What are you doing over the next couple of years? Thank you.
Okay, well, we came in and we looked at the primary health care, and also, diseases and ailments that are killing our people. And we decided that, look, we must have category 3 primary health care in every electoral ward in Oyo State, 351 of them. And as of the last count, we have only 66 left that are, being worked on right now. And I believe it should be done before the middle of next year. And I don't have a lot of time left here. I have maybe 17 months or 16 months. I'm not accurate anymore. Maybe early in the new year, I'll start
counting down
with my calendar again. So we've also employed healthcare workers. I mean, check the records. Oyo State, we're training the people. We've upgraded even our Institute of Health Technology. So I believe we're going to do that. Then the French government, they were going to give a concessionary loan, on the continent of Africa, right? And they had 100 million euros, for the continent. And Oyo State got 55 million euros out of that, So we are just, we just have it signed off. It took some time. It took us almost 2 or 3 years, to get it through. It was just passed in the borrowing plan with the National Assembly now. So we're moving ahead with that. That we will use to upgrade secondary healthcare facilities, one in every zone, of Oyo State. And then in 2026 budget, we also have money set aside for the Lautech teaching hospital annex at Oyo. So I believe we're doing okay. And in terms of the amount of money relative to our total budget voted for healthcare, I think we're also doing very well in terms of international benchmark. For education, I am a product of the public school system in Oyo State. I attended St. Paul and then St. Michael's Primary School, Yemetu, not up to a kilometer from here. And then I also attended Bishop Phillips Academy, Iwo Road, Ibadan. So I turned out to what I am today. So I understand precisely what we're supposed to do. We have special intervention now going into the health sector, education sector rather.
Chino, quickly.
Yes.
We have just
Your
a few
Excellency,
minutes.
What I'm worried about is the post Seyi Makinde administration. You've invested so much, built so much infrastructure. Your legacy project, about 110 kilometers, that is the circular road. How are you going to ensure that whoever is succeeding you continues this project? Because we have, one of the terrible cultures that we have in Nigeria is, leaving projects uncompleted, white elephants everywhere. So what are you going to do to ensure that this legacy endures?
Well, we've changed the culture in Oyo State. If you see any project started by any of my predecessors that have not been completed, please bring it up to the table. We will deal with it. And then people say, oh, it's Seyi Makinde. And it's not Seyi Makinde. It's the team behind all of this. So I ask the people that, if we're talking about the team, you've watched Omituntun 1.0. We call it Omituntun Apakini here. And then you watched Omituntun 2.0, which is my second tenor. What we are cooking now is Omitutu 3.0. It may get to 4.0 and all of that. Because it's the team. We just, get someone else to lead the same team, and we should be able to solve that problem that way.
Is the new place that they are going to in Seyi, because they are moving in January. So how functional? Because they really need to,
They've been there, and I'm spending my birthday at Fashola, and the to is saying now is 10-15 minutes because of the new road. So I will be on that campus. I've had issues. I've heard about issues, regarding movement. Some lecturers, they don't want to leave Ogbomoso because they're from Ogbomoso, and all of those things. I think whatever issues or challenges they have in there, I think we have the capacity to resolve it, and we will do that. Thank you.
Yes, Your Excellency. Beyond the policies and infrastructure, what would Jami there say about your administration that has changed your life over time?
Well, what I heard from Jami, from Bere, is that, look, Mr. Governor, we don't want this music to stop. Mere paying salaries on the 25th of every month is about now 20 billion naira for the state and about 12-13 billion naira for the local government. That is 33 billion naira into Oyo State economy every 4 weeks. Jamiu, carpenters, traders, market women, they all are having this. And then you need to look at, the atmosphere that we've provided, the economic activities going on in there. I think their concern is, how will this music not stop? And
well, Governor, we just asked 2 questions. Mine is about lottery and gaming in Oyo State. Your DG gaming and lottery was on Arise News a few days ago, and he was saying, look, the Supreme Court has ruled that states are the ones to control and regulate, not federal government. 2 days later, President Tinubu said exactly the same thing at an APC meeting publicly. But do you have any hope that the law will be followed by the federal government? Then quickly, add your own before we wrap it up.
I just want to speak to the environmental situation in Oyo State. Just speaking to people, Ojo, Bodija, all those areas, there's lots of refuse left untended. So is it an issue with the ministry, waste collection, or an attitude of the people? Something has to do, because Oyo State deserves to look even more stress.
Okay. Let me answer Dr. first. Double speak and all of that is consistent with how this administration at the federal has evolved. For instance, they created LCDAs in Lagos. Is that consistent with local government autonomy? What are you saying when you have created LCDAs? Are you not saying that the local government should be under the state? So how come now, suddenly? So I know there's a court judgment. We just have to wait it out. Some of these things, they may not be resolved strictly through the judicial process. Some you have to negotiate political solution and, things like that. I think this will fall into that category where people should honestly come to the table and say, look, we have issues with this area or that area, but you can't keep shifting. If you are at the subnational level, you take one position. If you are at the federal level, you take another position. I don't think that is good. Now to Kayode. The refuse situation, I've had to apologize like maybe 2 or 3 times now. I think it's power play within my own team, where they're talking about, oh, we should do this and we should do that. And they took it too far. I met with the folks involved yesterday, and I think we will resolve it. Yes, it's an issue. If a problem is not solved, it will keep coming back to us until it is solved. But I believe we'll solve it.
On that note, Governor, we would like to thank you very much for hosting us here in Ibadan and having given us this opportunity to have a chat with you. We wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday. Every December 25 is a double celebration.
Yes.
And thank you, Kayode Okikiolu, channels, television, Kayode Akintemi, TV Central.
News Central.
News Central.
There's TV.
News Central. Shino Oladende, editor Sunday Tribune. James Asukwo from TV Continental, right? TVC. And then Mrs. Giwa Mofua from Dominion Television. And thank you all at home for watching. We've been talking with the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, whose birthday is on December 25. Bye for now, and thank you very much for watching.
With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.